Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our BEAM Society, the second stakeholder engagement workshop for our assessment automation system. I'm the host for tonight. I am Tim, the assistant manager and the person that heads the development of the iBEAM automation system. So let's get started. So here's the PowerPoint. Let me see. Okay. So today's engagement workshop, we're dividing into 3 parts. The first part, we want to recall everyone's memory because it's been about 2 to 3 months since the last engagement workshop. So we want to recall everyone's memory on what is the iBEAM. The second part, we will show you some of our concepts, some of the concepts that we have developed for the iBEAM, the design features, and so on and so forth. And today we're going to show you how to do how the project registration process is going to be on the iBEAM, as well as the eForm and the document submission process. Afterwards, we'll talk about the way forward and possibly talk about how the project will be in the future. And last, we'll have the Q&A section. So the first part, the recall of the iBEAM. So recall from what we've discussed from our last engagement session. So the iBEAM consists of the 7 modules. The 7 modules are the document submission modules, which is to help the applicant to fill in the information for the eForm and to prepare for the assessment. The workflow and approval is basically a centralized project management module that will define and execute the automated process. Online communication module is a communication platform to allow the applicant, the BSL secretariat staff, the BAS to communicate with each other on the assessment process. The reporting modules is for BSL secretary to issue the report, to generate the result of the BEAM assessment. The knowledge database and the keyword search module is pretty much a information portal that compose of various credit interpretation requests, rulings, so on and so forth, to allow the applicant to retrieve all this knowledge and to help them to provide them with the necessary information to prepare for the assessment. Finance module, simply put, is to generate the invoice, the billing, or the variation order in case you need to you have some variation in your assessment. BS assignment module, we just use that module to assign the BAS to the project. So for these 7 modules, you could think of it as like a bank. So going to the bank, you have one counter, depositing your money, one counter maybe for investment, one counter you can buy insurance products, and one counter you can open an account, so on and so forth. So this iBEAM is pretty much like a bank, or maybe an online bank, and you could use this system to do different options, different variation of options online to help you expedite the assessment. So like this. So it's really, an iBEAM is really an assessment process becoming smoother, more transparent, and more efficient for the industry stakeholders. And on top of that, of course, since this is all automated, we're able to standardize our assessment submission to increase the consistency, reduce the human error, and also to create a high transparency overall in the BEAM Plus assessment. And at the end of the day, we need your opinion, and your opinion will make iBEAM more comprehensive and more compatible BEAM Plus assessment for the industry. So this is something we want to recap, and later on we'll talk about how you could contribute your opinions in this iBEAM system, iBEAM engagement process. So the second part of it is some of the concept we have start to design for the iBEAM. So iBEAM will be a fully automated system, and pretty much maybe a lot of people wonder how the iBEAM supposed to function when it rolls out. So initially we have designed some of the concept, and we're going to elaborate one by one. So first of all, we're going to talk about the project registration. So the project registration. So for many of the BEAM pro, you might that's been doing this project assessment process, the registration, you will know that you have to go to the HAGBC to do the project registration. So once you do the project registration, all the data comes to our secretariat, and we'll have somebody to contact you, to liaise with you on the agreement and the invoice and so on and so forth. And for everything, for the invoice, for the agreement, you have to go through this this process. We send you the electronic copy by email, and we will courier you the assessment agreement, so on and so forth. And that is pretty much a cumbersome process. So when the iBEAM rolls out, we want to simplify that process. What that means is you go to GBC, you do your project registration, all the data will be transferred to the iBEAM system, and our iBEAM system will automate all this process, will send you the necessary notification, and even have even notify our secretariat staff to automate the agreement process. So everything will be more convenient than what it is today. So here's a flow. You register with the GBC, you will receive an account notification email on iBEAM to actually ask you to activate the account when the iBEAM rolls out. So how that will work? So here's a snapshot of what will happen when after you register your project with GBC. So once we receive some data from GBC, our system will actually will automatically notify you, inviting you to sign up for an iBEAM account. So this is just a snapshot. All these content are indicative. It will be updated later on when we finalize the iBEAM design process. But as of now, this is how it will work for the account activation. So once you click the account activation link, it will take you to this account activation page. So what you do is you sign up your BEAM Pro with a BEAM Pro number. You sign up your personal information, so on and so forth. Type in your password, create a project, and afterwards it will carry you with this page. And this is a login page. So you use your registration information. You input all your registration information that you input in the sign up page into this this page, and what you get is this landing page. So this will be the future home of the iBEAM, and in it you will see the project, and in the bottom you'll see all the project that you're responsible for. Maybe you get delegate for as a BEAM Pro, or you are the project owner. You will see this project overview page, all within the bottom part of it. So the recent projects, you will see the latest news. So if we have any training, or we have any new technical circular that's been issued, you will see at the latest news, which is on the bottom right corner. And we have a self-help corner. So let's say if you don't have any project yet, and you want to file a CIR, you can simply click this link. And once you click this link, it will link you to a CIR page, and you can file a credit interpretation request without having a project. And we also have self-assessment. So let's say you're new to BEAM Plus, and you want to try out some kind of credit summary to see how your project might perform. You can try the self-assessment. And if you have any question, you can click the frequently asked question and ask me. So this is a self-help portal on the left upper corner. And also you will see an inbox. So let's say you have an agreement that needs to be due within the next few days. It will show on this screen. So you know what's going on. You can easily manage a project on this iBEAM system. So on the top right corner, it will display. We didn't put a mouse over on the right hand corner, but this is what will be displayed once you mouse over this David Lee on top the right upper right corner. It will show your BEAM Pro information, and you can edit your profile at any time, doing a setting or even sign out of iBEAM, just for the security purpose. So for the projects, so for each project, we intend to allocate one project administrative account and 8 project user account for each project. And we do this because of why this magic number is 8. So some of you might wonder, because first the eight project user, we actually received a lot of input in our last engagement session, telling us that 8 project user is an appropriate number. So we set it to 8. And also the 8 project user account is there because we want people to actively manage account, to ensure that you do all the housekeeping of the account, instead of just adding account infinitely, and you don't manage the account, and then you might have some data issues that you don't fix on your project. So we actually want to increase the data integrity, making sure that you manage your account, and we have this arrangement: 1 project admin and 8 project user account. So what are the project admin account and what are the project user account? So project admin account is the main user, the master of the account. So that is like the project owner. So let's say you're a developer, you own a project, you pay for our service, you sign up for the BEAM assessment. So you own you have the administrative right to delegate users or even assigning BEAM pros. So that's the project admin account. And we also have the project user account. Project user account is just for the user to make changes on the Eform, or even make minor changes to the information, say for the project, or even uploading a few files to assist the BEAM pro into making submission. We also have the project BEAM pro account. So the project BEAM pro account is like I will allude it to like the building department, the authorized person. So they are the person that responsible for the project submission. So they could always edit like the general form, the information fact sheet, the project information. They could also assign like the project user up or giving the right by the project admin, and they are the only one that could make the submission. So you might wonder why only the project people is the one that could make the submission and not the project user. We do it because we've asked a lot of stakeholders, and they tell us that they want to ensure that the project has some sort of integrity, and also consistency, making sure that the project, a qualified person will actually review the project before they make the submission. So in that case, we have discussed with a number of stakeholders, and we were told that BEAM Pro is really the right person that understands the BEAM assessment process, and the right person to make the submission, and hence that we make the project BEAM Pro the person appropriate to be responsible to confirm the assessment submission. So that's why we do it with this 3 level of account delegations onto our IBEAM systems. So once you once you receive the account email, you activate your account. So what happens is you go into this revise your fact sheet to input your project information, sign all the agreement invoice, and accept your offer before you prepare and submit your BEAM assessment. And how that will work is this is a page. So this is a page for project registration. A project page. So in this page, you will see that once you complete your account registration process, you go into this page, and it has all the necessary information for you to settle the agreement, settle the fee. So on here, the inbox, you see that it will tell you to upload an agreement, to download the invoice, you have to settle the invoice, so on and so forth. And then you could there's also a this box here on the upper right hand is to navigate the document, the project fact sheet, the agreement, so on and so forth. And here you see a 1, that means you have a finance issue that you need to settle. And also we have a calendar to remind you on what kind of agreement and what kind of payment you need to complete by a certain day. And this goes back to GBC, our linkage with the GBC database, because we are able to do all these automation and database linkage with the GBC, the GBC database. So we're able to transfer some of the information that was done, that was completed during the registration onto this project fact sheet automatically. So in the future, when you look at the project fact sheets for the first time, all these fields will be automatically filled because of the fact that all this information comes from what you indicated in your project registration. So that will enhance the data integrity, and also save your time into filling in or checking your project fact sheet once again. So here's an example of how that will work for the project fact sheet. So you can see all the information has been filled based on what you indicated usually in the project registration process. Involved party like the consultant, so on and so forth, your fees and your acknowledgement. Very clear fact sheet for you to understand our registration, to complete the registration process on the BEAM assessment. And once it's done, you download the agreement. We have a computer that will generate the agreement automatically. So you could always click this agreement, click the button, and download it, have your authorized person to sign it, and send us a hard copy, just for our record keeping, and then you could proceed with your assessment. Okay, so that was the project registration process. Now we're going to the Eform, the document submission process, which I believe will a lot of you guys will have a big concern on this, because this document submission process of Eform is actually the bread and butter of our assessment for BEAM and in the iBEAM system. So how this Eform, this document submission module will work? So what we do is we divide this component into two parts. The first part is a self-assessment. Self-assessment is for you to make use of our tools to actually try to assess how your project is before you prepare your assessment or upload any information onto the page. So that's a self-assessment part. You could try out use our tool to try out our credit summary, or you try out the Eform to see how you perform before you actually make a real submission onto our system. So once you've done your self-assessment, you could do a actual assessment, complete all the Eform, upload all the information onto our system, and then punch everything in, and then our system will actually check to see if the document is ready before you actually do a submission for an assessment. So how that will work? The general form. So here's the general form. So what is this general form? So general form is simply like our in the current BEAM Plus assessment, there's a credit summary, and that credit summary gives you all these to ask you to fill in the project schedule, the superstructure construction, the construction timeline, so on and so forth for the assessment. So that's the general form, and I think there will be a screen to show how the general form, like a short animation on that later on. And after you fill the general form, it will ask you to indicate what credits you want to attempt in the credit summary. So so here's this credit summary. So the first part you will indicate is whether that credit is applicable for your project or not. So there's a button. We have a very simple button, like push button, pushing it to the left or right to allow the applicant to state whether that credit is applicable to them or not. And afterwards, you indicate the credits you want to attempt for this particular credit. So upon doing this, you will see a summary, and that summary tells you, based on your filling of the credit summary, how many credits you want to attempt, how many credits you will anticipate, and what's your rating. And if necessary, based on this rating, whether or not you want to change your strategy to add more credits so that you could achieve a higher rating. So how that will work, here's the animation. So you see, based on what you just indicated, you will see all this has been deployed, like the number of credits. And basically on the right side, you see this little triangle that will go into the Eform, which I'll show in the next slide. So let's see. So let me see, the animation hasn't stopped. Okay, we stop the animation. So fill in the Eform. So like I said, going back to that previous slide, there's a little triangle. Once you click this little triangle, it will take you to the Eform, and you could fill in the Eform, the information on the Eform. So this is MA3 as an example. In this Eform, we have actually taken into consideration a lot of we've done a few stakeholder engagement in the past year, and we've actually asked a number of stakeholders on what they want to see into the Eform. So we incorporate a lot of stakeholders' view into this Eform to make sure that the Eform is compatible and all the instructions are clear, so the applicant could make a appropriate submission into the BEAM Plus assessment. So how that will work? So here are the components on the Eform. So here it is. You will see on the upper left corner, you will see a project information. Afterward, you will see how many credits you want to attempt and whether this is going for a provisional assessment or final assessment, so on and so forth. And one function we enable onto the eForm is the save as template and download eForm. This is a function that that's been asked by our stakeholders. Why we want to have a save as template? Because you might prepare a eForm. You might a project proponent may be preparing a submission for multiple projects, and there might be some commonality in terms of the information you prepare for both your project. So the save as template function helps when a project proponent they do something on one eForm and they want to copy some of the features or maybe the full features from one eForm to another. So we have a save as template function to allow the applicant to copy some of the information from the eForm for one project to another project. There's also the download feature, and that download feature is if you want to save an offline record on what you indicate in the eForm, you could hit the download function and it will store it for you, just for you for record keeping. And then there's this and then the continuous eForm. So eForm, there's also this main form and the appendix form. So all these the appendix form will be organized as tab view. And for some of you might not know why there's an appendix. Back in the eForm consultation a while ago, we put this appendix is mostly this appendix like a detailed calculation. So that's why we don't want the detailed calculation to appear in the main form. So that's why we have this appendix. So for the appendix, how we're going to organize it, we have two tabs like this. So you could switch back and forth. And then also for each of the session, we also have a navigation panel on the right. So for you to easily navigate between the session AC or whatever session you want to be. And then that has anticipated credit. So basically, based on what you selected in the credit summary, it will show on here. So to remind you to prepare your assessment based on your number of credits attempted. So here's a animation on how this will work. So see the appendix A, okay. So appendix A, so basically when they click the appendix A, you see this complex calculation. It actually, based on what you feel, you could see the number of the summary of the quantity of elements is will be automatically calculated for you. So we want to make sure that everyone uses a standardized template. So you don't have different formulas doing different things. We want to keep like what we mentioned initially. This iBEAM system, we want everyone to make a standardized assessment. So to make the assessment consistent throughout BEAM and for every stakeholder in the industry. So let's see. Here's another one. So another slide, you see the credit requirement. So just to remind you, there's a little button here. You could click the credit requirement. And why we want to do this, because this helps you. You don't have to flip back and forth on the PDF, our BEAM Plus assessment guideline to check the credit requirement. You can simply hit this button and it will show you the credit requirement. Okay, looping. So the next one is so all these forms will also have additional information, because we anticipate that there might be some information that could not be covered on our eForm. So we add an additional information section to allow applicant to add some information that is that may only apply to that project, or that may be a bit deviate from the standard assessment guideline. So we allow this option, and the applicant could submit this information onto our assessment system, and we will have a notification to ask the BAS to assess this additional information. So once you complete this form, you hit the save button, it will save your form for you. And in addition to that, we also have an autosave function for every 5 minutes. So let's say you leave your computer there, you don't do anything, our system will automatically save the form. Why we want to have this autosave function for every 5 minutes is in case you leave your computer on, you didn't save information, somebody log you off, or maybe somebody pulled the power plug, then this data will not be lost because of somebody pulling the plug on you. So we have this autosave function for every 5 minutes, just to make sure that the data is saved. So this is a demo is a full demo on this Eform for the MA3. It's an animation you can see. So that's this. So they hit the cubic volume. So you see the facade staircase. Okay, so these are yes, and these are no. And for no, you see that you can elaborate on why you say no. So we have an option to allow deviation. So say something that's not standard for the design, we always have a text box for you to input. So continue on. Yes. So okay. So once you're done, for this button, you have other than, of course, we also allow you for option. There's an optional button for you as well. Stop this. Okay. So once you've done once you complete this Eform, you will submit it for assessment. And how that will work? Actually, before that, not the submit for assessment. Before that, you might wonder how you add maybe drawings or any additional files onto our system for assessment. So we have this function called add files. So basically, you add the file, it will allow you to upload a file. And we also have something called folio. And what this folio function is, something I'm quite proud of, because this folio function actually stores every file that you upload onto our system. So let's say if you want to reuse the file that you previously upload on multiple form, you could just add the file from the folio to attach it onto your Eform. And why we want to do this is we want to avoid redundant upload actions that may delay your assessment preparation process or create multiple records on the database. So once you upload the supporting document, you confirm and proceed to the next stage, and that will end the assessment process. And here I will show a real demo on how this process will work, because you've been seeing animation and you want to see something really concrete. So that's why we prepare the demo session for you. So give me a second. Let me switch the screen. So here it is. We pre-open the page for everyone. So this is a indicative project. So there's no such project like this in place. But what it is once you log in your project, you're trying to prepare assessment, you will see this credit summary page. So that tells you how many credits you're trying to achieve, and what are the credits you're trying to you attempt. So for this example, let me just open up this page. So for this one, this project is going through this BAS first comment, and you could see this quite clearly. For the check, that means your comment you're ready, and then for this orange dot, that means there's still some outstanding, so you need to resolve it before you go on to submitting your assessment, so on and so forth. And then we also have some indicators saying that for certain credit, if you file a credit interpretation request, we have some indicator on there just to remind you that you have filed a credit interpretation request, and there might be something that you need to do differently for this credit. So everything is all these indicators are marked on it, so you know what's going on. So let's say I want to prepare IDCM1. So how do I do it? I click this button here. It will go into the Eform. So this Eform, you see all the instructions are here, so on and so forth, similar to what the animation. And you could so for this project, let's say I have 2 design being professional assigned. So you just hit this button and you go to 2. And then we have this tab you could expand, you could contract to make the navigation easier. And you type in, let's say I have a BEAM Pro, I would say I'm Tim, so I just put Tim Low. And whether you're a professional or let's say I'm a professional, I put it here. So anyway, you fill all this field, very self-explanatory. And once you fill in this, you upload your information that pretty much completes this part of the form. And for this button, like this is called radio button. So let's say you want to have so let's say you have select this option. This radio button actually will expand, that will carry on. Like for this one, you want to change the BEAM Pro. So there'll be additional information coming in for you. So you hit this button, it will display additional information, and you add in the corresponding file or fill in the field. So once you complete this part, you say you want to save it, you can hit the save button, and this is a timestamp. So why we want to put a timestamp after the save button? Because there might be multiple people accessing the eForm at the same time. So we want to have a timestamp, making sure that the save, the eForm, there's a record on when the eForm has been accessed, who accessed it, and when it has been accessed. So we add this timestamp here. So once this is complete, you go to continue. And again, this is just go to the next one is additional information. Let's say I don't have, let's say I say I have let's say you don't have any additional information, then you're good. Otherwise, you want to add file, then or you want to add explanation, you just type in all these this additional information page. And once you're done, takes you back to this this credit summary page. So the navigation process will be, I would say, will be quite simple all the time. When we digitize, or when this is when the iBEAM is commissioned, we want to make sure that you want to enter the eForm with just maybe 1 or 2 clicks, rather than going some cumbersome process, going to a different form, you have to click like 4 or 5 clicks. So we want to make it easy for everyone. So this is the demo. This is the eForm. All right. So hopefully hopefully this is the first part. We're going to release more demo maybe in the coming month to actually let you try it out how this eForm will be when it goes into iBEAM. So this is so we're going to the third part. So what are the way forward for this iBEAM development process? So we will have another engagement workshop coming in late November, maybe a little bit early, maybe mid-November, but we'll see about it. So why we want to have another round of workshop? Because we want to show the industry how this iBEAM is developing. How are we incorporating your ideas, your views onto this iBEAM, and how we're going to expand the iBEAM system to have more functions for people using for people making an assessment. So we're going to have a third stakeholder engagement coming in next month, and at that engagement workshop we will show you more screen capture, more demo, and of course we want to show you the knowledge database, which is really how you can retrieve all these CIR, FAQ, or rulings in the coming section, in the coming stakeholder engagement. And then afterwards, in January 2021, well, not really January 2021, I think that the PowerPoint is a little bit off. So more like late December to late December this year to January, we're going to have this IBM Experience Studio. And what is this IBM Experience Studio? I'll elaborate more in the next slide. I think 2 slides from now. So having said that, we need your help. And why we need your help is we really need more people to attend our focus group. And why is that? Because your view is important in developing a IBM system that works for the whole industry. And we really need industry participation to give us some views on how our IBM system will work. So we recall the 7 modules that we mentioned at the beginning of the slide. We need more people to give us some views on whether we're doing it appropriately or we're doing it wrongly, or what we could do to make sure these 7 modules are developing, are showing the right information on the IBM system. So we need people in the focus group, and the focus group, I believe the next slide will tell you will tell you more how you sign up the focus group. And why we want to do a focus group, because there's some privilege as well as some perks for for being a focus group member. You could actually have direct solicitation of advice. You can give direct advice on how we do the system development. You also have a priority in joining the system demonstration. So so all this screen, the screen capture, or even we want to try out the demo, you are able to do it firstly before this stakeholder engagement group. So a lot of privilege for joining as a focus group member. Definitely, we want more people to join, and you're encouraged to join as well. So after this focus group, we also need what we call an IBEAM Experience Studio. And this IBM Experience Studio is very important because we want people to try our system. And in late December or maybe late December that time, this IBM Experience Studio we will actually open up this IBM system, a beta version of this IBM. So you would go into this IBM system and try every function or even give your feedbacks to us. So why you want to try this IBM Experience Studio? Because you could have a first-hand experience on, conducting an assessment or retrieving some of this information before the IBM rolls out. And you could have a trial test amongst your colleague or amongst your friends, to talk about it, to talk about how good the IBM is, and to try it out before we formally roll out the IBM next year. So definitely something you want to look forward to, and I believe in the next week or two we will announce some details on how to sign up for this IBM Experience Studio. So here we need your feedback. We have a survey form. So today we're not going to discuss a lot of feedbacks. Maybe you could throw us a few questions on the chat box on the right if you have any questions. Other than that, we also prepare some questionnaires for you. It only takes 5 minutes to complete, and you also get some CPD hours for filling this questionnaire. This questionnaire are very important because we prepare some of the questions for you to answer in terms of, what information, what information you will anticipate into the system, and the system, and for example, report. How do you want the report to be displayed once we transfer the BEAM Plus assessment process into IBEAM? So these are some of the views that we don't know, and we have asked some of these questions, so on and so forth. So please take some time to fill in this questionnaire. Just 5 minutes. We really value your views and opinions, so we could further build up this IBEAM system development process. And here we have a chat box, and we'll answer accordingly. Again, we also have this QR code for you to sign up the IBEAM, the questionnaire. And here's my last slide, and thank you so much. We still have time, we welcome a lot of questions. So please type in the chat box, and we will respond as much as possible. Yeah, we'll try to answer accordingly. And CS, do you want to say a few words? Okay. Actually, CS is also next to us, and we have a team of crew, sitting next to us to do all this this stakeholder engagement session. So if I can answer your question, we have a crew of team answering your question. So feel free to type in your questions, and anything will help us improve the IBEAM development process. Don't be shy, actually. You guys are quite a quiet group, and we really want more questions. If you could please, yeah, please type in your Q&A. Yeah. So no questions, I will assume, right? May I assume no question from the audience? Okay, thank you, Howard. Oh, finally, we have a question from Howard. Thank you, Howard. So, a lot of questions flowing in, actually. So let me answer Howard's question. So Howard's question is, would there be any auto-generate summary report from the system? Yes, the answer is yes, there will be an auto-generate summary report. So once you finish the assessment, there will be a report generated from the system, and you could retrieve this summary report at any time, just to review your results, so on and so forth. Yes, there will be a auto-generated summary report, so not to worry about that. The next question is Machi Kit. Any limitation on the number of members? Okay. Yes, we have for each project, we intend to give access right to one. We have one project administrative account plus eight individual member account. So this 1 + 8. And why we have set this limitation, as I mentioned, is we want to control, the quality of the account maintenance. So making sure that we don't assign random accounts to you and you don't maintain, so the project administrator don't maintain properly the project account. So yes, that's why there's a limitation. It's a 1 + 8, 1 project admin account and 8 user account. And then the next question from Gigi, is this for version 2.0 or for version 1.2? So initially, we are going to do this for version 2.0 because partly the version 2.0 is a new scheme, so we are able to try out some new things on here, as well as as well as 2.0 is a clean sheet, so we're able to do a better development without considering a lot of constraints in the past. So we're going to do 2.0 initially. And when the iBEAM rolls out, I believe hopefully sometime in next April, 2.0 will definitely be rolled out initially. And later on, we are thinking about version 1.2 and even some of our existing tools like the EBs and even the BIs. And then Ping C code. Oh, this is a familiar friend. Who do you expect to use iBEAM most of the time? It will be mainly input by project proponent and the core BEAM Pro from BEAM consultants. Actually, this is a very good question. Actually, the iBEAM, we have not really set a bar on who will access the iBEAM. Actually, this iBEAM could be accessed by anyone as long as they have the access right. So, even the contractor could access the iBEAM if they're granted with the access right. Consultant could, of course, the consultant could access the iBEAM if they're granted with access right. So anyone who are granted with the access right could use iBEAM. That's the intention. But we just set that 1 + 8 just for the data quality. So we also have a separate rule. In case you say that 1 + 8 is not enough for this project, you could always request for higher number of sub accounts, to access to the iBEAM system. So definitely, we do not set a bar on who could access the iBEAM or who should not be accessed the iBEAM. Anyone could access it. All right. And then Gigi again. Regarding the communication module, is there any limitation, such as number of query question within limited time? Actually, no. It's more like it's kind of like a you could consider it's like an iBEAM dedicated email system. So you could send any query anytime. Any questions. We do not set a limit on the number of query and number of questions. So certainly you could think about it as like an online email system. No limitation, sending whatever questions you need, and there'll be somebody on the other side of the on this other side of the line to answer the questions for you. And then next one is, can everyone from team see which user account has edited on which credit? Yes, there will be. That save button, actually, why there's a save button and why there's a timestamp is because we will want to make sure that if somebody edit a form within this project, we need to make sure that the system marks down who edited the form. So just in case maybe you want to help responsible, find somebody responsible, or somebody probably mess up the form, then you know which person edits the form, and you can talk to that person, making the appropriate changes. One more question is that any file size limitation and file type. I think this is alluding to the uploading component. And this actually two people asked this question. The file size too large. What happened? This is a good question. Initially, we did not set a file size limitation, hopefully, but but it will depend on, I put it this way, we're still doing this assessment to see, whether we want to set a cap on, how big the file size you could upload, because for some of the submission you could have a lot of, you could have a plan, like the general building plan, and those are very high quality. If we set like a clear limit, say 200 megabytes, for example, maybe some of this plan it will be too large and you cannot upload. So we really need to do a little bit more study on the file size. So I'm not going to answer this question for tonight, but this is something to keep in mind of, to see we will do some statistic before outline setting the file size for each of the upload. And then also another familiar friend is Martin. Will the iBEAM link to BIM at the later stage? This is a wish list, and this is actually our wish list and also the wishes of the industry. This is something we're keeping in mind of. Possibly later stage we'll have something. We have this linkage. So so the question is, to answer to Martin, yes, we will have this at a later stage, but hopefully not for long. But let's see. And Gigi's question comes in again. How to avoid people mess up the iBEAM submission if there is no access limitation? In fact, this is the reason why we want to have this one project administrative account and 8 sub account, because we don't want random people assigning we don't want project assigning random accounts and people going into this iBEAM system to mess up the assessment submission. And hence that's why we set an initial limitation of 1 project administrative account plus 8 sub account, just to ensure that we don't have random people going into this BIM submission to mess up the data quality in the Eform or even the project information. And next question is, how about if it's saved automatically, but we would like to go back to the previous version? This is a very good question. We are still working on we're thinking about doing this versioning control for the Eform, so that at any time anyone's mistakenly save one version of the Eform, they could click the version control and go back to the previous version of the Eform to do the submission. So something similar to like a time capsule on the Word document. You can go back and work on this work on your go back to the previous version and continue to work on your form. Sorry, the questions kind of I'm getting a lot of questions coming in, which is good, and I'm a little bit lost. Sorry. So Martin again, if the applicant changed the target rating during the assessment process, such as gold or silver to gold, would it be possible? Yes, it will be possible. So all they have to do is go back to the credit summary and they select more number of credits to be attempted, and then the system will automatically recalibrate the target rating, perhaps from going to gold to silver or silver to gold. So certainly, during the similar to what's happening, the current practice, during your comment stage, you can always add more credits or deduct more credits to change a target rating. Certainly our system will allow it to do that. And then C again, is there any document control, version control on the document submission under each credit? I think this is the same question we go back with 2 questions ago about whether we will do a versioning control. Yes, certainly this is something to keep in mind. We will do a version control to control the document to be submitted. And then Gigi again, will the iBEAM help shorten the assessment process? Supposedly, yes, it will shorten the assessment period. But in terms of the pledge day, if this is what you want to think about, we'll answer you at a later time. Not at this time, but certainly, if our iBEAM shorten the assessment process, certainly there might be some consolidation of our pledge day. We'll jot this down, and we will explore whether this is possible. And then we go back to Howard. It seems like the usual people keep asking those different questions, which is good. We have people coming in asking a bunch of questions, which is good. All right. Can the admin account see an access log to check what's being changed at the time which each user access the project? We have not explored that part, but supposedly the admin account has the right to check the to have an access log to check what's being changed at different times throughout the project. So thank you, Howard, for this question. Actually trigger our thinking, how we're going to develop the system. So certainly we'll mark this down, and we will have our IT to do something about this. For the admin account to have a log to check on what's being changed at different times during in a project. And then will it be any notification when upload info to the iBEAM system? Yes, there's this notification. So basically, when you upload something onto the iBEAM, I think there's this progress bar. So it will go. So if you have a large file, it will tell you like how many percent your file is until completion. I think something like that. But it's a prelim concept. So certainly we do have a like an indicator to show your uploading progress. And then Gigi again, will it allow submission and assessment to be conducted parallel within a limited submission period? Will it allow submission and assessment? I'm not sure what you mean by submission and assessment to be conducted in parallel within a limited submission period, say 2 weeks. Do you mean that different yeah? Okay. Thanks, CS, for the clarification. So this actually involves our current assessment process, because in our current assessment process we conduct the whole assessment package as a whole, rather than by individual aspect or individual credit. But certainly this is something worth exploring. We'll take this view back to our IT consultant to see whether this is possible. But at the time being, if we want to follow strictly to what is being said in our procedure, definitely we're not able to allow multiple batches of assessment under the same stage to be submitted at different time. And then Thomas, can the current hi Thomas, yeah, can the current BEAM Plus app on mobile phone be able to access on iBEAM? The interface, for the iBEAM interface, we actually designed it so that even tablet or mobile phone could access it. Of course, having said that, when you access the iBEAM on the on let's say on a mobile phone, the text will be so small, so you will need to do some like magnifying and so on. Not that user friendly actually. So suggest if you want to access the the iBEAM on the phone, better you use a tablet or use a computer if you want to do something like that. And then would there be a email notification to project admin or to the whole team when someone edited or upload something? No, actually, because if we do something like this, it will be we've actually asked a number of stakeholders whether they want to have like this kind of notification, when somebody edited something or upload something, that notification will comes in. Actually, believe it or not, the answer is people don't want to receive a lot of notification, just by accessing iBEAM. So for that reason, probably the answer will be no for for having an email notification once somebody upload something or edit something. And then Martin, will the assessment fee reduce in future from the improvement of efficiency so that we can promote more green buildings for those with limited budget? CS, actually, do you want to answer this question? Do you want to come to the stage and answer this question? I don't think I'm the appropriate person to answer this question, yeah? So here's CS. You want to say a few things? Yeah.
Yes, thanks for the questions. As I always say, we are not a profit-making organization. I think Martin knows very well. So we try to actually pull in sufficient revenue to keep the business going. So in the long run, if the iBEAM eventually bring down the cost, of course, I think there will be room for us to reduce the cost. But I think you know that to keep the iBEAM system running, apart from the manpower resources, we also need the cloud, the server, and things like those. So I think that also contribute a cost factor. So this will be, of course, considered by the BSL or senior management eventually. So when the cost actually comes down or goes up. So I'm sorry, I cannot give you a very definite answer at that moment. But as I mentioned, what we can guarantee is, as I mentioned, we are not trying to, I would say, bring in more and more profit by actually reducing the cost. But we want to kick back all the benefit from the system to the applicant eventually. So Martin, I hope I have answered the question. So I pass it back to Tim.
Thank you, CS, for answering the question. Then the next question comes from Dr. Mui. Hi, Dr. Mui. Can the BEAM Pro change the submission folder once the assessment process is started? Yes, actually, this is similar to, I don't know what you mean by the submission folder. Do you mean by the files that they upload? Suppose if they upload a new file that onto this submission folder, our system will mark it as a new version. So in that case, you will actually see some indicator onto like the Eform when the applicant change something, change the upload files onto the Eform. But certainly the applicant could change anything similar to like the BS comment stage or the post LC stage. Applicant could always change the change what it is being submitted. And actually that goes to a follow-up question from Dr. Mui as well. I meant the file. If so, how can the assessment be finalized if they're changing?
The last one.
Yeah. So basically the finalized, so basically they could change anything up till the reporting stage. So once the file, once they enter the reporting stage, so they hit the button, they say, okay, BS, you look BSL Secretariat, let's do a final review of your, let's say, provisional assessment. At that stage, all the files will be frozen. So the applicant could not change anything after that. And then afterwards, afterwards they will everything is frozen. So basically the BS could conduct a final assessment for on this submission, and they could not change anything. The applicant could not change anything, or make a change, try to to improve their submission afterwards. So the deadline will be once they hit the submission button, they cannot change. So going back to the previous question, or it could be an option for the admin to choose if he wants to receive notification. So going back, okay. Thank you, Logio. We will put this as a request for our IT consultant to see whether it's possible to add a notification in case for some of the sub accounts change something, so the admin account will know what's being changed into the project. Certainly, we'll look into this. Yeah, we'll look into this and see what we could do. So now it's about, so we will overrun a little bit, and thanks for the large amount of questions. I think we should we'll call it for today. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. So I hope you kind of understand our process, your development process for the iBEAM, and please fill in the questionnaire. Again, the questionnaire really helps with our development process. And I'll see all of you next month for another stakeholder engagement session, and we will provide you with more information on this iBEAM development. So see you next time, and thank you so much.